Never underestimate what will happen when Negroes get scared. Welcome to their world of make-believe. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the super fortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And of course, joining me today is Professor Black Truth. Welcome back to the Black Channel, brother.
B1 family.
And of course, the BlackChannel.net radio program is barreling out of the gate, speeding down the tracks now as we speak here. And boy, more than ever do you need it. Brothers and sisters, there's a lot I could talk about today, but there's really only one thing that I will talk about. And of course, later we'll be joined by your phone calls. Earlier today, well, in the last night, I had made a post where I had said that one of the major problems is that black people are happy being in poverty and dancing a jig, and that I am a very angry black man. And how can you not be when the rest of the world is arming itself to go to war with you, but most of your people are dancing a jig and are actually happy to be living in poverty? Well, of course, it didn't take very long before they showed up, falling out of the woodwork. Didn't take very long before they jumped up, talking their usual brand of stupidity and idiocy. It didn't take long. It didn't take long before scared Negro disease set in. The first guy sat up here and was talking about anger was worthless and useless, and we needed to have a plan. We needed a plan. We needed a plan. You need goals and a plan. What's the plan, Stan? He started talking about your spiritualism and inside of you. That's right. Black women are being beaten down in the middle of the freeway like a dog by white supremacists in police departments. And this guy says the way that we can beat white supremacy is look within. To which I asked him, tell us what actions we need to take. And I put action in all capital letters. Here's the action that he thought we should take. He said, and I'm quoting now, here are some concepts to be understood first for success. So in other words, you need to understand what he understands before you take action. Now, I asked him, what actions do we take? He said, oh, no. There's some things you need to do before you take action. See, this is more important than taking action. Okay? He said, A, you have to have a goal. There's only one goal in life, and that is to become one. In order to become one with others, you have to become at one with yourself first. Look at yourself as 11 different parts. All those parts must work together like a well-oiled machine. B, you must know what the plan is. Apparently in his world, a goal and a plan are two separate things. Now, as you've all heard, I've also articulated the same thing, that a goal and a plan are two separate things, but wait till you hear what the plan is in his mind. The plan involves knowing and understanding all 11 parts so that you are able to take those parts and organize them towards the goal of becoming one. C, you must be commies to growth. I think he might have meant committed, like committed to an asylum, like he should be. But in any case, you must be commies to growth. This means you must sharpen your knives. You will need it to cut off anything that is blocking you from your goal. He does not explain to us whether this knife is literal or metaphorical. He does not explain to us where to procure this knife. And he doesn't explain to us how to, quote, cut off anything that's blocking you from your goal. But he wants you to get this knife and start cutting. Ogun has been petitioned. Harakudi, the warrior in you, must come out. Once you get this as a working framework, you can then go deeper into each one as we build this pyramid. Brothers and sisters, this is actually an older fella. He had a head full of gray hair. And that was his idea, his definition of a plan and a goal and what to do. That was his idea. Another fella, when it had been a story up, Riverside Hospital 6 weeks from closing, nation's only black hospital in danger. This fellow here said, Hockey Jameson, he said, let it close. We don't need funds or hospitals. We need black people to realize that health is about what you eat, what you grow, and how much you move or exercise. I hope to never in life need a hospital for anything. We must be better. Brothers and sisters, these are grown-ass men. Grown. And when you ask them, how do we proceed? How do we make progress? These are the answers that they gave. These are the answers that they came to us in adult company now. That they came to other adults in adult company and stated seriously, with a serious expression on their faces, this was their idea of how we, as grown black people, are supposed to progress. This is what they were seriously asking us to do. And then you wonder, brothers and sisters, you wonder, black males, why it is that your women do not respect you and why they go looking to non-black men as what they see as their best hope for survival. Because from a young fella and an old idiot, these are the kinds of responses to serious questions that black women hear every day. White men, when you ask them the kinds of questions that I asked, or when you show them the kind of things that they saw, white men don't respond to you with make-believe. Asian men don't respond to you with magic beans. Arab men don't respond to you with flying carpets. They come back to you with power, wealth, and influence. That's what they do. And that is how grown men are supposed to behave. But these Negroes are so weak, so powerless, and so cowardly that when you do ask them adult questions, when you do ask them for answers to adult situations, they respond to you with make-believe. So much so to the point, and so deeply does this permeate them, that this even extends to the women, that when you do remind them that, by the way, the women don't respect you, their response to you is that, well, we don't need women, and we don't need their respect, and we'll just go get different women from some other place. We'll find some women who are not so determined that a man should be adult and mature and successful in life. We want females who want men who are immature, adolescent, and failures. And we want a woman who is so dumb, so stupid, so immature that she does not recognize or appreciate the difference between a man who is successful and one who is not. We want a female who is so freaking dumb that she is incapable of differentiating between a man with an actual agenda and the resources to accomplish it and a male with some magic beans. That's what those guys are after. And if you want to know why your females mock you, laugh in your faces, spit at you, and don't have any problem with being Negro bedwenches, it is because you are not even on a basic level able to articulate. Forget show it, forget prove it. We have degenerated now to the point that we are no longer even able to articulate what it means to have power, wealth, influence, and how to exert that power, wealth, and influence, even for our own benefit. Forget the women, even for our own. They have retreated into the mystical world of make-believe. And the fact that they said this in public, like they did, that gives you some idea of how far gone these people are. Professor Truth, black people love whining and mewling about the things that they don't like. They love complaining about the things that they don't like, and led by black men in particular, because we are supposed to be leaders, black men in particular. Brother, these dudes are not articulating a strategy. What they're articulating is, I surrender. I don't have any means. I don't have any way of doing anything. So, man, I just ad lib and make believe every day. That's all. That's what I do. Because they don't actually have a plan or even a concept of what maturity and being respectful is, brother. Most black people have just, and black men in particular, have just surrendered. Or am I speaking wrong, brother?
No, you hit the nail on the head. This is what happens when you get separated from your power. You've actually been separated from the world to a great degree. You have to float through it. So as a result, since you don't have any real power to do anything, and you've become lazy and apathetic and self-defeating, and you've given up on the need to get your power back, you start looking for mythical solutions. You start looking for a way to go through the world without having to do the hard work of exerting control over that world. Now, sure, you can go ahead and blame the powers that be and say, well, I had my power taken. Well, dang it, when your power's gone, you mount up an effort and you get it back. That's what a man does. But yeah, there's a serious failure of black womanhood and an utter failure of black manhood. Looking for mythical make-believe options. And that's the reason why you stay in a perpetual posture of victimhood. You're sitting here saying that the flowers and the trees, and if you can just figure out 11 parts, I mean, what is this, a freaking card diagram? That's lazy talk. That's stupid talk. And it goes nowhere. Guys who talk like that, they're clearly advertising for some female who's just as silly and dumb as they are. Hey, what's your sign? That used to be the old way. Now it's, I'm on this Afro spiritual kick. Of course, that's a road to suicide. It's a road to helplessness. Let me go ahead and tell you what's also going to be a failure. A few months ago, some black people made it a cause celeb that they were going to complain about some movie called Gods of Egypt. These black people were not about to start their own production company. They were not about to sit there and say, is there somebody else out there doing a work that portrays the Egyptians accurately? They just wanted to complain. And people were telling them, stop whining and complaining about this stuff. It's not going to change anything. They didn't listen. So now Hollywood, seeing that you're not going to do anything, here comes the next great outrage. Ridley Scott, the director of Gladiator, he's made a new movie. It's basically a remake of the Ten Commandments. And who did he cast? Well, you already know Christian Bale is going to play Moses. The first trailer came out this week. And Sigourney Weaver is going to be Queen T or Nefertiti or whoever the hell she's portraying. She's going to be the Queen of Egypt. I didn't see even one non-white person in the entire production. What does that tell you? 15 years ago when Stephen Sommers made The Mummy, he at least had it where the Magi were black. And that changed a lot of people's minds. A lot of books, especially books for children, started portraying the Magi as black, where just the year before they hadn't. Books coming out of Europe, books coming out of Asia, books coming out of America, because that's the power of media. You're fooling no one but yourself if you think that it doesn't matter. And you're also fooling no one but yourself if you think that being cowardly about the issue is going to get us anywhere. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if somebody comes up to you and starts giving you all of this garbage about you need to look at yourself as being part of a great, whatever, I can't even follow what you're saying. That's why I'm not going to follow what you're doing. And you can't blame black women for looking at this and going, this ain't leading anywhere. You see, you can't feed your children. You cannot elevate your people with a bunch of lazy, stupid, spiritual mumbo jumbo. It just doesn't work. It can't work. And that's the reason why black men go without respect. There's only so much blaming of black women and white men that you can do. At some point as black men, we got to make sure we drop the hammer on these clowns when they stick their heads up and start talking stupid like this. Well, you got to control the culture. And that means create a zero tolerance zone for people who are talking in a way that's not going to empower you. Any man who tells me that I need to sharpen my knives, but he does not tell me that I need to acquire power, wealth, and influence, he is not to be taken seriously. And when people are looking at a hospital being closed, which is going to be a life and death situation, and the only thing that he brings to you is a bunch of, you need to cut off anything that's blocking you from your goal. I'm sorry, but that's a little bit too vague to be useful. A leader gives you specifics. A man gives you specifics. So by not giving me specifics, that means you're talking around the issue. And that's why we're not going to listen to you. And that's why we are going to lampoon you. And we're going to hold you up for ridicule. Because when you're in a situation that's life and death and you got somebody sitting here doing some crazy talk, that's somebody who needs to be put on display so that the people understand we ain't going with this. You talk dumb like this guy, you're going to wind up being ridiculed like him, and the only thing that's going to get cut off is you. You will be cut off from the people so that you cannot mislead them. Enough with the silliness. Enough with the stupidity. Now, by the way, I know a lot of you come here for entertainment because that's what Intelligent Black Society does. We bring the entertainment. Not fakers and frauds bring entertainment. We bring the cold, hard facts. And here's another one for you. I got a tweet that basically said that there's 11 black actors being nominated for Emmys this year. 11 of them. And I'm sitting here going, okay, that's cute. Irrelevant, but cute. And then somebody mentioned that Andre Braugher had weighed in on the subject. And, well, Andre Braugher, a lot of you remember him as Detective Pembleton from Homicide: Life in the Streets. And I actually think that Andre Braugher is a good actor. But I got to tell you, haven't seen the man working necessarily steadily since then, not really. And perhaps that's gotten to his head. I mean, the man's never been out there repping Team Black, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm surprised at the perspective that he took on all this. But the point that I want to make to you is, yeah, there have not been 11 black actors nominated for Emmys since like the 1970s. That is true. But a large part of that happens to be when you don't own any media real estate, when you don't have any power, wealth, and influence in your given industry. Of course, you are going to be marginalized. And you can't really complain too much about that. I don't know of anybody who's got power, wealth, and influence who looks and says, I got to put my power, wealth, and influence to work for other people. I'm going to go ahead and empower somebody else other than me. Power is exclusive, not inclusive. So yeah, 11 black actors got nominated for Emmys this year. Wasn't surprised to see that America's favorite Negro bedwench, Olivia Pope, got nominated. What a surprise. The dominant culture is reinforcing its value system. But it was interesting to see that, again, Idris Elba, he got nominated for something. And what a surprise, Andre Braugher also wound up getting nominated. But he's on a comedy now, not a drama. A comedy. So a black man gets some recognition, but only if he's doing something that people can laugh at. Oh, how far the mighty have fallen. Now, Andre Braugher plays a police captain on a Fox comedy show named Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And when asked for his opinion on the 11 black actors and actresses being nominated for Emmys this year, he said, and I quote, "It's a testament to the storytelling that is going on out there." Think about that first sentence alone, out there. So apparently he seems to understand, if only subliminally, that he ain't really part of this. And then he goes on to say that I play a gay police captain on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I'm not the butt of the joke. Obviously, he doesn't understand how black men have been stereotyped as gay these days. Just some food for thought, folks.
A lot of these people out here are just tone deaf to the kind of thing that's going on. And that is why what we're doing is so important. You know, if all the people who had signed those petitions, if all those people, instead of signing petitions about gods of Egypt, if they had instead signed if they had instead were on the march saying, you know what, I'm not going to complain about gods of Egypt, I'm going to put my money into Hidden Colors. I'm going to put my money into that. Instead of complaining about their movie that I don't want to see, I am going to put my money into a movie that's actually worth seeing. First of all, it's actually worth your dollar. And that's what we're going to do, is boost what we're doing. I think there may even be a petition out there now that some folk have put up and whatnot about getting Hidden Colors on TV One or network TV somewhere. Well, if you're going to have a petition, it might as well be one that actually makes some sense for a change. But imagine what would have happened if all the people wanting to put up petitions and whatnot actually put their money up into things that serve them instead. But you see, Money is a definite. It's definitive. We don't have to guess whether or not you got money. We don't have to guess about that. You either got it or you don't. That's all. You either have the money or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, it's only going to take us a couple of seconds to figure out that you don't have it. No debate, no argument, no long, drawn out anything. We don't have to guess about it. This is about what we know. This is about what we know. Now, if you'll remember when you were younger, when white girls, their father's greatest fear was that his daughter would go off to college and fall in love with some starving artist. Because you see, the young man may be good at making stuff that's visually interesting to stare at, but if he's not making any money and he gets your daughter pregnant, guess what? Your daughter is on her own. Your daughter is on her own. That's what it means. And no man who is sensible, is going to allow his daughter to walk off with an individual who clearly has not demonstrated any type of concrete maturity of dealing with the physical problems in this world. He can't take care of himself. What makes you think that he can care for your child? Grown men are not supposed to be wishing for magic beans. That is beneath you as grown men. First of all, grown men are supposed to be able to recognize when you're doing something that is so cowardly that it's not worthy of respect, and then you are supposed to stop yourself from continuing to do it. You're supposed to stop yourself. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. You're definitely welcome to call in. We will probably be doing a brief broadcast tonight because I've been in the middle of doing some of the sync editing for 7 a.m. And just to be totally honest with you, I'm really trying not to break my groove on it. But I did want to do our broadcast tonight, so tonight's broadcast, I may be here for an hour, maybe two, I don't know. It just depends, but my intention is to do this briefly tonight. We got to make sure I make an appearance, but after that, I got work to get back to and whatnot. And some of you have seen some of the work as it's still in progress, so you know we're putting it together here. No magic beans at the Black Channel. We don't do that. Now, brothers and sisters, understand something. For these people who claim that their spirituality has conquered all, why is it that these people are not able to show you any evidence that they have overcome white supremacy? Don't talk about how great what you know is. Show me where it has worked. Show me where it's actually accomplished something. And you can't do that. Show me where what you're doing is actually accomplishing something. Show me where white supremacy is being pushed back by what you're doing. That's another point, that these individuals will not want to engage you in a conversation about how they are making progress against white supremacy. They are going to tell you that simply the fact that I, in my mind, am thinking against it, that is a victory in and of itself. You have to understand, brothers and sisters, that when you are a failure, that means that you have got to drop that bar as low as it can get. When you are a failure, that means you have to drop that bar down. That you have to elevate simply thinking to the level of monumental achievement. In other words, I don't have to prove anything. All I have to do is sit. Why can't you just give me credit? Why can't you just give me credit for talking? Why can't you just give me credit for showing up? And you will never get the respect of your women, your children, or yourself by subscribing to that type of physical, philosophical, intellectual laziness. As a black male, you should be fundamentally ashamed of yourself to tell people that we don't need a hospital because I'm going to eat and drink right and that'll fix it for me. And what if you get shot? What if you have a car wreck? He didn't respond to that, by the way, when I mentioned that. What if you get shot or you do have a car wreck? Then what? Dead silence. Dead silence. Now, in case you didn't think that the situation could get any worse for black people, in case you didn't think that the enemy was on the full-scale march, I have to remind you, this is the Black Channel. This is where we don't talk about the news. We don't talk about events. We tell you what the events are going to be, and then we just comment on it later. Yahoo News, Dateline, Berkeley, California. From Eric Pfeiffer. Berkeley dispensaries now required to give free marijuana to the poor. He says, if you love smoking pot, live in Berkeley, and don't make a lot of money, the city council has some good news for you. Your pot may now be free. An ordinance approved by the Berkeley City Council says that at least 2% of all pot carried by medical marijuana dispensaries must be provided, quote, at no cost to very low income individuals and families. The council defines very low income as individuals making $32,000 a year or less, or families of 4 collectively earning $46,000. And unlike the cliched image of government cheese, and unlike, this is what the story says, not me, and unlike the cliched image of government cheese, the ordinance further stipulates that the free marijuana, quote, shall be the same quality on average as medical cannabis that is dispensed to other members. It's sort of a cruel thing that when you are really ill and you do have a serious illness, it can be hard work. It can be hard to maintain a job, and when that happens, your finances suffer, and then you can't buy the medicine you need, said Sean Lucy, who works at local collective Berkeley Patients Group, in an interview with NBC News. The GPS-enabled weed maps. No, brothers and sisters, this is a real article. This is not a joke. The GPS-enabled weed maps site provides a detailed list of all Berkeley area dispensaries and delivery services. Delivery services, everybody. That means when you're stoned on the couch, you ain't even gotta leave. According to the information provided there, 1 gram of medical marijuana sells for, on average, $15, while an ounce of high-grade pot can cost upwards of $400. Strains of medical pot with lower concentrations of the psychoactive element tetrahydrocannabinol, THC for short, tetrahydrocannabinol, try saying that 3 times fast, are sold for less. It's well established that getting a medical marijuana card in California is not difficult. Technically, the California Department of Public Health lists only 11 approved conditions, such as HIV/AIDS, cachexia, wasting of syndrome, and cancer. But the list creates a near infinite loophole for those wanting to qualify for a pot access card by also including the following the qualifying stipulation of any other chronic or persistent medical symptom that either substantially limits a person's ability to conduct one or more of major life activities as defined in the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, or, if not alleviated, may cause serious harm to the person's safety, physical, or mental health. Now, brothers and sisters, that last part there was the one you need to listen to. Or mental health. Did you know that depression qualifies as dangerous to your mental health? Did you know that? So if you tell the doctor that you're really sad and he simply diagnoses you as depressed, did you know that that diagnosis now qualifies? He can now write you a prescription for medical marijuana. See, that's the loophole that they use for abortion. That if a woman is sad about being pregnant with her 4th bastard baby, that qualifies as hazardous to her mental health, and now she can qualify for an abortion because this is a hazard to her health. No, not her physical health, just her mental health. Emotional health. Well, that qualifies as mental. Rack her up. Now, question, people. This is for poorest and low-income people. Well, who are the absolute poorest, lowest income people in the United States? That's right. Us. Now, you already know that at your job, every welfare whore at your job, every Section 8 mammy slut at your job knows exactly how to get FMLA. For those of you who don't know, that's Family Medical Leave Act. She knows how to qualify for that, and she knows some quack doctor who will give her an FMLA clearance for migraines. If she's got back pains, he'll give her an FMLA clearance for that too. That's right. Now these hoes can say, well, hell, why can't I get my weed too? I ain't got to get Pookie to bring me nothing. Damn you, nigga. I don't need you to bring me my weed. My SSI gonna pay for my weed. Damn you, nigga. My Medicaid will pay for my weed. Just understand that's coming next, people. You do understand that that is coming next. Your SSI and your disability and your Medicare and your Medicaid. After all, If they can pay for abortions, why can't they pay for your medical weed habit too? And just like alcohol and cigarettes, who are going to be the major users of it? Who are going to be the disproportionate users of it? And white men are standing next to you at the weed co-op today. Tomorrow they will not be standing next to you at all. Professor Black Truth, it's a cold ass game, brother.
They won't give you liberation, but they will give you narcotics. Now, what does that tell you, folks? They're not about to see you get free, but they will see you get high. And just out of curiosity, how much trouble do you think you're going to pose to the dominant culture once everybody is going to go ahead and get blowed? When everybody's getting turned up. You know, I have seen many societies where the hungry have uprisen successfully. Many societies where the people without any sort of political power have uprisen successfully if they have sufficient numbers in leadership, which is a political power in and of itself. Heck, I've even seen societies where people who didn't even fully understand what they were fighting for have uprisen successfully. I have never seen one society that has been successfully narcotized and yet been able to rise up. This is the lesson of Ireland. The British got in there and found out that the Irish, because of their Celtic background, they were a little bit too hard to hold on to. So the Brits went ahead and brought in the whiskey. They brought it in by the boatload. And why not? They had also learned that trick during the opium wars with China. They had opium from India and started flooding China with it. And the Chinese understood what the British were trying to do. They were trying to soften them up for invasion. So the Chinese fought back. That's where the opium wars came from. The biggest narco state in history is not Colombia, it's Britain. So for all you black people out there who think that it's harmless to be getting high all day, that's okay. You're going to be getting high, and then you're going to be getting eliminated. And this is good. If you're too dumb to understand that it is not okay to be in a state of mindless oblivion when your kids are getting gunned down, your neighborhoods are being eradicated, and you are being pushed to the brink of oblivion. If you really think that your best recourse is to go and get high, then as far as I'm concerned, your clearly defective genes need to be scrubbed from the gene pool stat. California is showing as goes California, so goes the nation, and California is showing you exactly how America's going. Freedom ain't on the agenda. Black empowerment's not on the agenda. Weed is on the agenda because potheads don't pose a threat to the status quo. They don't pose a threat to the dominant culture. Black people who are not focused are no threat. Is that you? Maybe. But I know two individuals who are certainly not going to be a threat to anybody. Old Kwame Kilpatrick, his kid's given a tweet of him wearing prison gray. See, this is what happens when you think that if you're a black man who gets into high office, that you can afford to go ahead and play with your mistresses. It's party time. It's getting high time. White society will laugh at you. Watch as you squander away the best opportunity that you had to secure your future. Then they'll go ahead and either have you killed or have you put in prison. Usually prison, because that way they can have you humiliated. That's another trick that the British like to do. So as far as I'm concerned, anybody who doesn't get it, don't stick around.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and see about taking a couple of calls here. Let me get a caller from 313. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello?
Yes, you're on live.
Hello,
what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, I'm calling from Detroit. This is James. And I just wanted to say that I agree totally with what you said about Kwame Kilpatrick. And I just feel like, you know, it really didn't help the city out really one bit, because he just kind of, you know, didn't really help the people that really needed it. So That's all I wanted to say.
Well,
And,
let me ask you a few things here, James. Now, you say you live in
Okay.
you live in Detroit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We're getting a lot of calls from Detroit lately. And it used to be that we didn't get that many calls from Detroit. Professor Truth remembers we used to never get calls from Detroit. In 2014, Detroit has blown up for us as far as getting calls. What changed, brother?
What changed? I don't know. I'm very young. I'm only like 20, so
Does
I
your
think
water
maybe what changed
does your
is-
water work at your house? Is your water on?
yes.
How much longer
But
is it going to be
I'm-
on?
It's going to be on until I can afford it, Because I know the privatization happened here in Detroit, so it's not on for everybody. I'll say it like that.
Now, why do you think so many people are getting cut off?
Private investment companies. That's the reason I think.
Okay, you sure it has nothing to do with the fact they can't afford their bill?
Well, that too.
Why do you think they can't afford their bills?
Because right now the economy has crashed in Michigan,
Okay,
primarily Detroit.
what are black people in? Because it's not crashing for the Arabs. The Arabs aren't doing badly.
That's true.
Okay, so why is it that the Arabs are doing okay and the Latinos in Detroit, in their part of town, they're doing okay, and the Asians are? Black people are 80% of the population in Detroit. So when you say, well, the Detroit's crashing, the economy's crashed, why is it that the economy has only crashed for black people? Why isn't it hasn't crashed for everybody?
Because we do not own our own businesses. That's what I think.
See, the Arabs don't have any problem getting black folk to come to their stores. None whatsoever.
That's very true.
Black folk will hurt
Very
themselves
true.
to get over there, but then will complain that we don't have an economy in Detroit. Well, is there any real effort being made to build one?
There is,
By black people, I mean?
but it's starting with this generation. It's starting with
Wow.
Generation Y.
So you kids
Like,
are having
I'm
to build
Generation
it.
Y.
You kids
So-
are having to build it from the ground up, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, yes.
Do you have any respect for your elders?
Yes, I do.
Why? Based on what you just told us? Why?
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they're still my elders.
Okay, but all that means is that they're
There's still
old.
certain.
All that means is that they're old. You haven't explained to us why you're respecting them other than they're old. By that definition, you should give respect to Jesse Helms and any other white bigot once they reach a certain age. By that standard.
Great point.
So people's behavior doesn't mean anything. Just if they get a certain age, respect. Like his Social Security is just a entitlement. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I
Just
guess.
whoa, stop. If you're required to respect them simply because they kept breathing long enough to pass a certain age, what are they required to do for you?
Support.
Okay, support. Do you think that building is a necessary component of support?
Yes.
Okay, how much building have your elders in Detroit done for you?
As far as what?
Well, take a look at your situation and then take a look at your white, Asian, Latino, and Arab counterparts. Let's start there.
Okay.
Now, you stated that my generation is the one that's having to start building things. But, brother, what about Motown? What about the Civil Rights generation? Brother, they had a dollar that was worth...
Okay, well,
they had
Motown
a dollar...
is in California right now. Motown, and we don't even own that anymore.
Okay, you're not listening.
So,
James, you're not listening. Where did Motown start, sir?
in Detroit.
Okay, so how does you bring it up? Well, we don't own it anymore. How does that change the material facts, sir?
It doesn't.
Why do we not own it any? Since you brought that up, then explain to us why we don't own it anymore.
Because we didn't keep it.
Because we didn't keep it. Explain to me what we didn't keep it means.
We didn't keep it within our own circle.
What does that... You just repeated yourself. We heard you the first time when you said we didn't keep it. What do you mean by that, James?
We didn't pass it down.
We didn't pass it down. Okay, James, you're repeating yourself again. That means the same thing. What happened to Motown, James? You don't even know. But you do know it's in California, which is not really accurate, but fine, since you want to say California. The truth is, James, you don't actually know what happened to it. And that's the problem, James, is that Motown was supposed to be part of your cultural legacy. Legacy is about more than just your name. It's about more than just money. It is about the things that you and your people built. And then they're supposed to pass those most important things down to you, so that you can pass them down to your children. And all of the power, wealth, and influence that those institutions that they built have earned, now you get to take them and build them up even bigger, instead of your generation having to reinvent the wheel and start from square one all over again.
Okay. Well,
Barry
I'll
Gordy's...
say that's a great
James,
point.
James, hold on. Barry Gordy sold Motown. He sold it. It wasn't taken. It wasn't stripped. He sold it. While it was still making money, he sold it. And he's not the only one. And what you have said is that we should respect Barry Gordy, even though he didn't do anything for us. How do you justify saying that we should respect someone who did not do anything for you? I should do something for him. I should give him respect. Okay, and what should he do for you?
Respect me back. So you have to give it to get it. And maybe, that's our problem, is maybe we're giving respect that, it's supposed to be a two-way street, and it's not in all cases.
What has happened is you've allowed people who just got old. There's a difference between an elder and some bastard who's just old. There's a difference between the two. You see, you become an elder by being a repository of wisdom, strength, wealth, knowledge, power. That is what qualifies you to be an elder. You don't get to be an elder because you're old. You don't become an elder because you're just old. You become an elder because you produced. And what has happened is the civil rights generation took all the money and wealth and squandered it on drugs and bell bottoms. And they now have told your generation that you should respect them simply because they're old. James, how much lower can the bar get?
Wait, hold on.
James is...
Oh, good Lord. Wait, hold on just 1 minute.
James' car is being stolen.
Yeah.
Should we contact the police? I think they only have a 10-minute waiting time before your call will be answered.
Okay. All right. So I can hear you.
Okay, we thought you might need some help there. We're going to contact Blackwater. In any case...
No, I'm cool.
In any case, James, do you see how low you have allowed them to place the bar? That they don't have to pass... White kids curse their parents out when their parents don't hand anything to them. Same thing with Asian kids and Latinos. Black folk, though, have lowered the bar so low that they're now saying that, well, if I can just live to 50, I can get respect. I can get something for nothing.
Great point, and I think we should set the bar at a higher standard. But it starts with, people that want to be interested. You know what I mean?
James, you all are in the position that you are in today as 20-somethings because the 60 and 70-somethings didn't build anything back then. They had a dollar that was worth 10 to 12 times as much as the one you have today. They actually had good jobs. They worked at GM and Goodyear, all that stuff in Detroit. They worked there, brother. They worked in those industries back before the plants got abandoned. They were making very good wages before the GM and Chrysler went bankrupt and had to lower their wages to just over minimum wage. Brother, they had very good jobs and very good incomes. And they said, damn the kids, I'm buying a Cadillac. Let these little bastards take care of themselves. I got mine. Let my children worry about getting theirs. I'm too busy living the good life. And you're saying that and now you see the results in your city. And those are the people that you are trying to respect?
Okay, great point.
They've left you with the inability to even keep your water on, James. And you're saying we should respect them because they're old. But not only did they not do something for you, James, they sold you out. They sold you out. That's why you don't have anything today. They sold you out. But they told you, but you gotta respect me, so they can screw you over, but you have to respect them. If that sounds eerily like white supremacy and the talk of the slave masters, that we can put you in chains, but you have to respect us, you could be forgiven for thinking that, you know what, that sounds just like the plantation talk. That sounds just like them. They didn't have to do nothing for us either and demanded respect.
Great point.
Ask yourself something here, James. Do you watch the news in Detroit?
Yes, I do.
How often are they talking about the fact that they're doing mass cutoffs of the water? How often are they talking about that in the Detroit news?
They're really not as much, but I mean they are, but it's just very little.
Thank you.
But that's why I'm glad that we have the internet.
Okay.
So that we can actually look.
Wow. That's why I'm glad we have the internet so we can go look. Because you see, it would be asking too much to have them actually tell you what's going on. You have to go looking for this information. Why is it that your people don't own anything so that they can make sure you are informed? Because if black folk had been trying to build TV stations instead of selling Motown, you all would have a media apparatus in place that'd be so strong that they would not have to wonder about what's going on, and Rick Snyder never would have been able to do this. Kwame Kilpatrick and Bing and Duggan never would have been able to do this. They never would have been able to get this far because you already would have had a media structure in place. But your people haven't even insisted on that. And now they're telling you today, well, you got the internet, go look it up. Brother, by the time you find the information that you need, you're already behind the 8 ball. And you all, the media, should be talking about this morning, noon, and night up there. This should be water cutoff, day 12. But what they're doing is they're starving you of information. Brother, this is how they did it in Nazi Germany. Did you think they told the Jews? And 15,000 Jews got rounded up today. Do you think that was on the news in Germany when they were doing it? No. Oh, they had the news. They just wouldn't tell you that we're rounding up the Jews. They didn't tell you that we got 45,000 today. They wouldn't tell you that. Now they're using the same tactics on you all. They can cut off 5,000 people a day, 1,000 people a day, and you all are not even knowing it. Have you seen that movie World War Z?
I haven't seen it, but
Okay, for those of you who haven't
I
seen it, there's a great movie with Brad Pitt called World War Z. Okay, I say great. It's really not a great movie, but it's all right. The pacing of it was good. But in the movie, you can actually see it in the trailers. You all can go on Yahoo or whatever and see it, the trailers on YouTube or whatnot. And they've got one part on there where it shows the world's population counting down, basically. It's going down at this outrageous rate. And what I'm saying is that when that kind of thing is happening, if you could actually see those numbers moving up in real time, that would set off alarms for all of you in Detroit. But it's not. And the reason that it's not is because they're starving you of information. You're being snuffed out and you can't even see it.
They really are. That's why I'm glad I'm listening to you, because it's like, you seem to know a lot about black culture and black society and black, how to gain both power, wealth, and influence. So I'm like, but there should be more of that. You know what I mean?
Well, brother, I want you to understand how dire your situation is. You've got nothing to respect them for. You all are being annihilated, and you can't even see it on the news. In other words, you're being annihilated, and nobody in Detroit is talking about it. We're talking about it across the country, and in other states, we're just not talking about it here in Detroit.
It's like, kind of like, only me. I only want to say something. It's like, everybody cares about entertainment, and it's just kind of like, where's the logic? Like, where's the pragmatism, I guess you could say.
Well, your pragmatism is extinct now. Brother, what they're not telling you all is that it's too late for you in Detroit. It's too late. It's over. Y'all respected your elders until they bled you dry. It's over, brother.
That's a tough pill to swallow, but hey, I'll take it.
I'll let you have the last word.
I just wanted to say I appreciate you for the information that you gave me, and Black First.
Black First, brother. Thank you very much for calling. Please call us again. Professor Truth, these are the steps to Nazi Germany, where they slowly incinerate you. Never give out any information about what's happening to you. You don't know that it's your day to go until they show up for you.
This is what happens when you do not have any sort of power, wealth, or influence, particularly media power. They could be sitting here wiping you out right in front of you, and you won't be able to see it, or you'll sit there and think that you're one isolated cause instead of realizing that this is part of a definite pattern. I was reading an interesting book about a week ago or so called Amusing Ourselves to Death. It was written by a man named Neil Postman. And what he was talking about was basically that we're in a society now that is more concerned with trivial pleasures than it is with whether or not it even survives. The book was written in 1985, but it might as well have been written today. And when you look and see that the man who was sleeping while Rome burned, he's in prison now, smiling his butt off, Kwame Kilpatrick. Hey, what, me worry? Yeah, he's got 3 hots in a cot. He ain't worried about his water. It's being paid for by a public that is being decimated. This is what ignoring the sins of your elders got you. And this is why you do not just give respect to them. It better be earned. What those elders are really saying is, whoops, we fumbled the ball. We really messed up. And now that we're getting older, y'all need to respect us and take care of us. Take care of you with what? A lot of these elders are about to start paying the price that carelessness in your youth requires. And that is, you are going to live out your golden years in poverty, forgotten, maligned, and the very bastards that you had while you were at the club, drinking Schlitz malt liquor back in the day and drinking Patron today. These are going to be the wild animals that will be preying on you. And don't look for sympathy. The people who are left to have to fend for themselves because you allowed what little possibility of a actual working economy to just fall apart, they're going to be so busy being concerned with self-preservation, they will neither know nor care what happens to you. This type of culture of we don't know and we don't want to know, that is a recipe for disaster. It is a suicide pact. And intelligent black society is not signing on to it. Now, there is one thing that didn't go said in the discussion that does need to be mentioned, and it is this. What's happening in Detroit is happening in a lot of other places. Detroit is just the first domino to fall. It is the very first one. Which one will go next? Well, we got a lot of nominees for that prize. Could be Atlanta, could be DC, could be Memphis. Hell, you just name any majority black city in this country. Or that, for that matter, any city with a sizable black population. A lot of folk who could easily find themselves in Detroit's shoes. And what are you going to do when they cut off your water? What are you going to do when they decide that they're going to start dropping economic bombs like crazy? See, you've only seen gentrification on a small scale. You ain't seen it on steroids yet. You haven't seen it when it's a situation where they're going to run black people out of the slums and there are no new slums for you to move into. That was so 20th century. Where are you going to go? Well, it doesn't really matter where you go. It's straight out into the streets. No one's going to know about it anyway. This is ethnic cleansing, American style. Out of sight, out of mind. There will be no protests. There will be no mass demonstrations. The Detroit Water Brigade, 8 white people with signs. Yeah, you're going to change the city with that, all right. There's not going to be a media reckoning because the media has decided that with the exception of a few internet sites, what's happening in Detroit doesn't really matter. You turn on the nightly news, what's the news of the day? LeBron James is going back to Cleveland. Well, that's the single most important news that I need to know. Thank you for sharing. Your destruction will take place on a mass scale, and no one will even notice. This is sophisticated genocide. This is world-class clever genocide. The country's got all these cameras, all these cell phone cameras, all this internet presence, all these internet websites. And the slaughter is going to take place anyway. It won't matter. And all the coons and buffoons, the frauds, fakers, and bastard baby makers who apparently are thinking that if they just get their unwashed masses in front of this or that city hall, or if they just get Reverend Jackson out of mothballs for one last rally, or if they get Reverend Al to give them a couple of sound bites that's going to mean anything, these are the ones who are going to be the first ones to go. And you know how I feel about that? In the aggregate, it's actually going to be a good thing. Let the line be drawn in a thick black manner, so that all the people who were sitting there saying, you do you and I'll do me, we can see them for what they are. Lazy, apathetic, and on the bullet train to oblivion. And the people who are the I don't knows and the, well, I'd love to spend money with black folk, but I got a mental hurdle that makes it where I can't do that. And well, yeah, I just got through dropping a ton of money at the Asian liquor store, but, you know, spending money with black folks, I just don't know. We can see those people for who and what they are. They are part of the enemy. If you don't stand with us, you stand in our way. Let the line be drawn thick and black so that there is no more confusion. You will either be black first or you will be dead last. But there will be no in between. Other than dying, that is the only transition between black first and dead last. The dying. Now, which one is it going to be? If you actually need me to ask you that question so you can decide, then you've already chosen your side. The early grave. And that's fine. Intelligent black society can see that Kwame Kilpatrick was a train wreck. We saw it years ago. And now he's going to have some company in prison because old fakin' Nagin, Ray Nagin of New Orleans, he's about to start his prison sentence. Now, what have I been telling you folks for years? I've been telling you that when white society has a tool, in the end, they will break their tool. They have to. It's an old trick that they learned from the Romans. When you insinuate yourself into a targeted population that you're going to conquer, you sit there and first of all, you find some converts, some useful idiots who will help you sell their own people down the river. You go ahead and give these guys a little bit of comfort, not much. A little bit of wealth, not much. You prop them up, you tell them that they're better than the others. And then once that tool has served their purpose, you break the tool. That's what the Romans did to Boudica and her family. That was what the British did with their collaborators in India. That's what the Americans did with the Vietnamese and the Iranians and Saddam Hussein. It's what the French eventually did with the Haitians, who won the Haitian Revolution and then lost the peace afterwards. So if there's any black people out there who are thinking I'm going to find a place for myself in the white order, you're not trying to overthrow white supremacy, you're trying to find a comfortable spot in it. Just understand, Ray Nagin and Kwame Kilpatrick had the best seats in the House. How'd that work out for them? Oh, they still got a place in white supremacy, but it's going to be a cell space. It's going to be a prison space. That's what happens to collaborators. That's what happens to the fakers and the frauds. It is not harmless for you to be catering to white supremacy, because white supremacy ain't making a seat at the table for you. They will use you, then they will abuse you, and then they're through with you. Black first is the only shot you have. And you better start being unapologetic about it. Because when you sit here being cowardly and craven, and I don't want to rock the boat, and I don't want to make any enemies, everybody's looking at you and going, well, hell, this guy right here, he's going to be a walking cancer. Because that kind of craven behavior, that kind of cowardliness, that kind of, don't you be getting massa unhappy now, that's going to spread. And everybody else will sit there and go, well, we don't want to make too much noise. Ain't that what Oprah Winfrey said? You got all these black people out here sitting here saying, don't make things uncomfortable in Hollywood because you'll ruin the opportunities for other black actors and black directors. That's how slavery went on for the hundreds of years that it did. Instead of making massa uncomfortable, instead we need to not offend massa. What about the elders who betrayed us in Detroit? Well, don't offend the elders. Why the hell not? Yeah. You can be cowardly if you want to. We ain't going for it. Because I'm not going to be the one sitting there trying to explain to the struggling future generations that, well, the reason you guys are going to have to work 4 times as hard for your survival is because my generation wasn't willing to work twice as hard. I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to put in the elbow grease. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, get the sweat on the brow, work until the fingers bleed. Because I'm willing to pay that price.
Let's go ahead and take another phone call here. We're going to take caller from 718. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, we have another person who wants to speak to us from their speakerphone mounted
Hello?
on their hood.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, although albeit softly.
Yes, this is Sweet Charlie.
And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York City.
And what's on your mind?
Hey, nothing. I just wanted to talk about the state of sweetness in the black community. I think that we all should be a little sweet, you know? Hello?
I wish the trolls would troll a little bit more intelligently. We have the
Hello?
We have the smartest listeners and the dumbest trolls on all the internet.
What is a troll?
Dude, you're supposed to be a grown man. I mean, you sound like a grown man. A male,
What
at
is a
least.
troll?
Why would you be calling us
What-
up to talk foolishly on the phone? How old are you, man? I mean, seriously, how old are you?
How may I do that, sir?
The state of sweetness in the black community. Really, dude? I mean, how old are you?
No, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of tenderness.
Okay, well, do you know anything about this broadcast and what we talk about here?
No, sir.
Then why would you call us up to say something like that? You don't even know what we talk about. Why would you do that?
I thought it was about the black community.
Okay, why would we care about sweetness? Why would any adult care about sweetness? How old are you, man?
Because
How old are
because
you?
this is what I think
Okay,
that we need in our
kid,
community.
How old
We
are
need
you?
to try a little tenderness.
Okay, how old are you?
It doesn't matter.
Yes, it does matter.
I'm 22. I'm 22.
Okay, you're 22 and in New York. You all are being gentrified out of the entire city. And this is what you call up with.
Yes.
You're being gentrified out of the city, and your opportunity to speak to thousands of black people live, and you wanted to call up to talk about sweetness so you can be the class clown and show people what your sense of humor is. You all are being annihilated out of Brooklyn as we speak, the Bronx as we speak, and Queens
sir,
as we
but
speak.
sir-
And this is what you
but
called
sir-
up with? Really?
Excuse me, sir.
This
I
is what
don't
you
live
called
in
up
Brooklyn,
with.
Nor do I live in Queens.
I don't
Nor
care.
do I live in the Bronx.
Sir, I don't
Exactly,
care.
So what are you talking about?
I don't care.
All right, so
There is no good place for
Hey,
black people in the entire state of New York. There's no place that black
I
people are
live
not in
along-
danger in the whole state.
I mean, if your parents have a little bit of money, it is. I live
Okay.
in Long Island.
You live in Long Island. If your parents leave
Yes,
you
sir.
their money, if your parents do have any money, and I don't believe that they don't, because you're the kind of fruit that they bared, so you're a reflection of their teaching. So your parents ain't got nothing. But even if they did,
What's
this
what's
is who
wrong
we
with
got
being a
to
fruit?
give it to.
What's wrong with being a fruit? What's wrong with being a fruit?
Okay, when you smoke too many drugs and you start making phone calls, that's the problem.
But what's wrong with being a fruit? I mean, you're a fruit. You sound like a fruit.
No. Take a look in the mirror. And
You sound like a sweet tart.
Sir, you're not a fruit. You're just a jackalope. Now,
No, I'm a
here's what
fruit.
you're going to do. What you're going to do is
What
you're
am I
going to
gonna
hang
do?
up the phone. You're going to step
Try
away
a
from the
little
receiver.
tenderness.
And then you're going to go away. Otherwise, I'm going to
Try a little tenderness.
Otherwise, I'm going to give out your number.
Okay.
And
well,
then
you know, I mean,
other people can call you up and ask why you're so stupid. That's the
Why
game.
do I have
That's
to
the
be
game you and
stupid?
I are gonna play.
Why do I have to be stupid?
And next, I will call up your carrier and play this for them, and then I'll let them know that you're using their phone number to make prank phone calls. And then we'll get really serious. Now he just hung up the phone when I said that. Yes, sweet Charlie. Now, Professor Truth, I started off the broadcast by saying that black males are in a pathetic state of being. And then, on cue, one calls up, claiming he's from New York, and obviously the apocalypse is not happening quickly enough for him, because he thinks that they have the time and freedom in New York to be able to get on the phone and play.
Live by the dumb and die by the stupid. And yeah, by the way, folks, you have just had a master class how Jason handled this chump. You've had a master class in how intelligent black society wields power, wealth, and influence. No screaming match, no yelling, no cursing, just here's what it's going to be. Get off the phone or we'll make you some new friends, and then we're going to let your carrier know that you're prank calling, which by the way is a violation of law. That's part of the reason why these radio shows, that allegedly prank calling people, they're not. Those are staged. Years ago, a lot of those guys got sued for doing that. They got sued and were reminded that the FCC doesn't allow you to get on the telephone and be prank calling people. You just can't do it. So yeah, it's this clown got run, and he should. But I want black men in particular to take notice of that. Listen to what this chump came on here with. He didn't show up and say, let me prove that I'm the most intelligent guy in the room. He didn't want to prove that he was the most worthy person in the room or the most supportive. Only thing on his mind, let's talk about the state of sweetness. This guy, he's a fruit cake, yeah. But you know what? There's not a whole lot of difference between this chump and the guys who say, let's talk about swag. My swag is sick. These guys who are sitting here focusing on everything under the sun except for their survival.
Professor Truth, how do you respect a male who's that jackass was going to be on? He's going to be in front of somebody somewhere. And he's going to be demanding respect. He's going to be demanding female cooperation. How in the hell do you get them to cooperate when this is the level of maturity that you bring to the table?
Simply put, you don't. One of the commenters in the chat room said that he probably wasn't black. Here's the problem, though. Whether he was black, white, and there's always that possibility, truth of the matter is there are too many clowns who you can readily find without even looking. You can just trip over them all day. We see their comments on Facebook all the time who sound exactly like him. Or rather, it. So that's the problem. It's the mentality that's the problem. And it's permeating too much of black society. It's bigger than one nuisance caller, bigger than one clown trying to score himself some cheap laughs, and apparently he walked into the wrong doggone room. He just realized that now. What it's about is whether or not black people as a group are going to get serious about what they want. Do you want to keep amusing yourselves to death? You can do that, and we're reaching the end game of that process. Or do you think it's time to start focusing on power, wealth, and influence? New York's in the state that it's in. Detroit's in the state that it's in because a lot of black people wanted to laugh. They wanted to party and play. You look at New Orleans. They partied and played their lives away. Now they're being run over by Hispanics and white folk and increasingly Asians. And all of this is being cheered and supported by the media. Nobody's going to ask any questions about whatever happened to black New Orleans. No one's going to ask what happened to black Detroit. No one's going to ask what happened to black New York any more than they're asking what happened to black Harlem. They're not asking because they like it. They don't care. Your transition to oblivion will take place to the sound of applause and laughter by the people who wanted to see it happen. And the only thing that's going to keep you from passing into oblivion is whether or not you dig in your heels, take a hard-nosed approach to your survival, and start investing in each other. You will either be unified in life or you'll be unified in oblivion. Either you're going to stop making excuses for the pathetic behavior, for the bastard baby making, for the faking and the fraudulence, or what you're going to be doing is just making your peace with the fact that you voted yourself out of existence. But we're coming to a point now where everyone's going to see this. The blackchannel.net's the tip of the spear. And a lot of the conversation that takes place here 5 years ago when it just started, it was so niche. It was so urbane. It was just so esoteric. Everybody just looked and said, oh, you guys are just a dozen or so. Now, as the screws are getting turned, now that the prophecies that were made years ago by Jason when he pointed out that you're not going to have any sort of prosperity in a black economy without black people resorting to deciding to invest in each other. When I put out Rest in peace, Black America, talking about the bastard baby epidemic that was making it where instead of us having an intelligent, forward-moving population, instead we got a human herd, and a herd is only good for slaughter. And then we're all Detroiters now pointing out that we are going to be gentrified and economically bombed and politically marginalized out of existence. A lot of black people thought, oh, that's scare talk, or, well, y'all been saying that for a while. Now it's moving. 39,000 black women standing out in East Point, Georgia, begging for housing vouchers. 93% black male teenage unemployment rate in Chicago. And now Detroit, having water turned off. They're going to sit there and literally starve you out of existence. Yeah, it was so funny, wasn't it? And now you're going to die laughing. It's not a joke. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's no laughing matter. And if your main goal now is to watch the latest episode of The Haves and the Have-Nots, or you're concerned about whether LeBron will he or won't he, or your focus is on the Real Housewives of Who Gives a Damn, if that's where your focus is, then congratulations, my friend, you've made your choice. You have voted yourself out of existence. And don't you dare ask for intelligent black society to spare you one drop of water or one crumb of bread. We're running a business, not a charity. I think about things like Dante's Inferno. In Detroit, as the summer begins to heat up, the Inferno is going to be up there. In the Bible, they have the people who basically say, I would give anything if someone would just take their finger, dip it in some water, and touch it to my tongue. You see, that was cute when it was written in the Bible. Ask the people of Detroit how cute it is now. They have a very different perspective. They defended the do-nothing administration of Kwame the Crook Kilpatrick and the rest of the crooked Kilpatrick clan because they were interested in ego burnishing. They wanted to brag about black faces in high places. How high is Kwame Kilpatrick now? They brought him down to less than nothing. He's in a prison cell. They made a joke out of him. Black people defended Ray Nagin for what? This is one of the main guys who made his living helping out white telecommunications companies, selling out his own people. He didn't build anything for anyone but himself. When New Orleans flooded, George Bush came down, and what did Kilpatrick do? What did Nagin do? He's smiling as he shakes George Bush's hands. I would have had my finger in Bush's face. I would have been going to jail if I were Nagin, but not for corruption in office. It would have been because I would have slapped the president of the United States in the face. But all these black people who are sitting here defending Ray Nagin, for what? Because it's your habit to defend the idiot class among us? And now Kilpatrick's in prison, and Ray Nagin's going right behind him. And there's going to be some more. This is white America breaking their tools, taking the frauds and the fools and putting them in a prison cell. Ray Nagin, he got all that money, not much, but enough for to have some nigger trinkets. And now those who have real power are taking it all away. They're taking it all away. And what are you going to do now that they've taken the village idiots and are putting them in the hoosgow? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to protest to who? Your white mayor? To his Asian American lackey in Baton Rouge? Who are you going to protest to? Are you going to go in front of the news cameras? They ain't covering these protests. Are you going to petition someone? Who are you going to petition? The governor? How about Barack Obama? Maybe you could petition him to let Kilpatrick and Nagin out of prison. Because Obama is so interested in what black people need. He's so interested in what black people are interested in.
He's got a sterling track record as far as releasing black people in prison. That absolutely sterling. And of course the sarcasm is just gushing from my veins. Neely Fuller said that black people have been trained and conditioned to be serious about things that are silly and to be silly about things that are serious. And at this point right now, it's just gagging. We're going to take another phone call here. 832, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Black first.
What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Olmekian descendant calling from Texas.
Well, it's Friday night, brother. There's certainly brought out the buffoons, coons, and trolls.
Yeah, I see the imbeciles haven't been purged quite fast enough.
These are grown men, brother. I mean, he's in New York, Long Island, as if Long Island is safe, and it's not. Long Island has a pathetic amount of black people in it. They can be pushed out in a weekend, but he doesn't know that. And in New York, of all places, he was area code 718. We can look up exactly where that's at, but in New York, of all places, you would think that black men there would be super focused and rock-ribbed. And instead, look what we keep running into.
We keep running into the same idiots who don't know what time of day it is and don't see themselves being crushed into the past and oblivion. Like Professor Black Truth stated, 93% unemployment rate. But that's not just Chicago. That's everywhere you go. It's at least 50 to 75% because I don't see black males working anywhere. But you know, when you're on the coon train, it's all fun and joy until they put a bullet in your head and white supremacy stomps on your guts. Then I guess
or they just turn the water off. They are using the exact... Don't you understand, everybody, that in Detroit, they are using the exact same tactics that they've used in real estate? They are now simply bringing the redlining strategy to the water department. They're just using the Macy's and Saks Fifth Avenue strategy for your water now. That we will make the most expensive water in the city, and black folk will simply be priced out of the water market. Now, isn't this... But you know what's even more shameful? What's more shameful is that right now, black people have a choice to make. The average water bill in Detroit is $75. Black people have a choice to make. Do I buy a new cell phone? Do I buy the $75 pair of sneakers? Or do I buy running water? And what I'm telling you is that for many black folk, they're making the wrong choice, brother. Even with it being this plain, they are still making the wrong choice.
I'm really starting to lose hope in our survival. I mean, I didn't have much hope, but I have, less than much. I have less hope. I don't know what to really think. It's like everybody you try to warn, you try to talk to, they don't take the threat and the cold hard facts serious. I don't care who it is. I don't care from 20 to 65. They just don't take the threat seriously. I tell these people I'm black first, and most black people don't even know how to respond, or they say, why are you on this black power stuff, or don't worry about it, it's fine, we're all fine, you can get a job if you want to. It's all about if you do good enough, if you're docile enough, they'll hire you. It's just ridiculous. But I tell them, Amadou Diallo, the shootings, the killings, the Detroit, the Chicago, the things they've had down here. I know you heard about the killing they had up in Orange, Texas, with that black guy was found in the forest. I mean, the list just keeps going. The woman beat in California. Nothing wakes them up. Nothing matters. I just don't have any hope anymore. I don't know what to say.
Well, brother, no. I mean, it's always... The storm is always before the next day, man. There's always going to be a storm before things finally clear out. And what I'm saying is that this is the moment in history that we were built for. We want to be here. We want to be here.
Keep fighting. You just got to keep fighting. That's because I'm like, where's the Black Noah's Ark or something? Because I don't know. It's like nothing can get through these coons' heads. Nothing. It doesn't matter what they do. They still don't understand. The reason we're in the predicament that we're in, is, you said it 100 times, is because we're the poorest people on the planet. But not many understand that.
Well, they're about to get a rude wake-up call, and it's going to be very vicious and very strict. At this point, compliance will be mandatory. I'll let you have the last word, brother.
Just want to say Black First. I look forward to the documentary, and still spread the news on that, of course. Got to order my gear, and I'm just going to try to, wake up as many, black folks as I can, and the ones that will take heed. And that documentary coming out will be a great tool. So just keep the faith. Black First.
Black First, brother. Thank you very much for joining us here. I'll go ahead and put you back on hold there. Let's get another caller from 718. Hope they do better than the last one, Mr. Sweetback. You're on live with the Black Channel.
B1, Cambria Heights, Queens, reporting for duty. This is Nurse Zoe, a.k.a. Big Zoe Uzami Point. What's going on, Master Black? What's going on, Professor Black?
Well, I certainly hope you do better than the weed head from Long Island.
I'm sincerely insulted by that, but I understand that. It's good to hear your voice, sir.
What's on your mind, brother?
Well, I didn't want to be monopolizing the time on the broadcast, so I kind of been in a listening mode while also building my own businesses and investments. And I've been seeing that we have a lot of work to do. IBS has been a huge success, but it also needs work too. And I've seen the steps that each of us individually as collectively are doing to work together and sort things out so that we can be a more cohesive unit. I'm doing what I can in my own aspect, and unfortunately, yeah, it's bad even in New York. Long Island is a mess. Right now, there are more for sale signs by businesses in white neighborhoods than anything else. And the black neighborhoods in Long Island, in Queens, across the board, it's not good. Right now, whether they'll say it out loud or not, we're not in a recession. We're in a depression, and it's not getting any better. And you know what happens when times get bad? As you have all said, everybody squads up. The problem is that people don't realize that, basically we're on war footing, and it's not looking good.
Well, a few people understand that. But brother, when they're going after your water, they're not playing with you. When they're going after your housing, they're not playing with you. I mean, what are the basics of life that you need? You need food, you need water, you need shelter, you need clothing. And they are going after your water and your shelter, and they're not playing. And what I'm telling you all is what I said before. Mark my words. Michael Bloomberg was one of the biggest ethnic warfare artists you ever saw. Period. And what he understands something. They just want to know if they're going to be able to legally get away with this in Detroit. Because if they can legally get away with it there, you all have already seen how easily they could manipulate housing prices in Detroit and real estate prices. You've seen how easily that can happen. What makes you think they can't do the same thing with the water in 6 calendar months? This is New York damn city. They can double the water rates in 6 months, brother. I'm telling you, they can double the water rate in 6 months. That's New York. It can happen. It can happen. All you got to do is just make a law that says that you can index water rates to the land value. Did you get that, y'all? If they make it a it doesn't even have to be a law. It can be a regulation. It doesn't even have to be a law. That they can index the water rate to your property value. didn't know there could be a city income tax. We didn't think they could do that either. There it is. Brother, they better wake up.
Sorry. The problem is they're already doing that. In lieu of the fact that they don't want people to wake up in terms of raising taxes, they've started nickeling and diming people between fees for city services, fines for miscellaneous abuses, as well as also ticket prices. If you, don't even get me started about these bogus tickets and these ridiculous surcharges that they're putting on now. They've already started doing that with the water, with the electricity, with the gas, and right now I've been talking to more and more people, and these are upwardly mobile or middle class, if you can still say that there is a middle class, individuals that have jobs. They're being squeezed and they're being pressured. Just their utilities and their rent. Not even talk about the ones with the mortgages. Just the ones in their 20s, their 30s, and their 40s are being slowly choked to death. Now these are just the white people. The black people they're on life support. It's terrible right now, and the sad part is they don't realize that this is the time to prepare, or this is the time to fight back. One of the two. Otherwise, you're facing certain destruction.
Well, at this point right now, brother, as I said before, Judgment Day is here. There will be no more warnings. There will be no more admonitions. No more warnings. You've been warned enough. Dying times here. I'll let you have the last word.
The last word is, my black people, you're in the right place at the right time. Just continue doing the right thing, which is preparing yourself both financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and socially. Connect with those of like mind, and also remember, the one that can save you is the one that you stare in the mirror. Black first.
Black first, brother. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Let me get caller from 240. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Gwendolyn calling from Fort Meade, Maryland.
What's on your mind, Gwen?
Didn't catch you quite at the beginning where I wanted to catch you, but I was just wanted to, I guess, ask you about what you thought was going on in Chicago, because I heard a lot of things, and I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if my mind was in the right place. So they said, I guess over the weekend or something, there was so many shots fired. I heard above 80 shots fired. But then at the same time, it was kind of it's 4th of July weekend, so I didn't know how to to measure that, if that was if it's usually like that or not. And then I read a few articles saying that they've deployed military. They deploy military personnel there, and you see them jumping out of the, I guess, the caravans, and in full uniform with the M16s and the, full. It look like they're, in the desert. And so I was wondering if this is, or what part of the, phase that they're in, and what do you see happening? And I just feel like they're going there to start, wiping people out. I don't think they've established martial law yet, but they did declare it a war zone. So what does that mean when it's a war zone?
Okay, first of all, understand that they've got you right where they want you. Once they tell the public to be afraid, be very afraid, be terrified, then that's going to be a different matter. Once they make you scared enough, that's all they have to do to you. Now, somebody in the chat room here was asking a question. They were asking, is this really Jason Black in the chat room? Here's your answer. Now, I'm still in the chat room. You aren't, but I still am. I hope that answers your question for you. Now, back to what Gwen was saying. In Chicago, Gwen, you have to understand that they want total police powers. I was watching a documentary last night about the Bloods and the Crips narrated by Forrest Whitaker. You all can go look it up online. And in it, it was talking about how in California, they were using, the California police chief was using militaristic tactics. And if you all go ahead and think about what happened to Move in Philadelphia, they used militaristic tactics on them. They bombed that house, literally bombed it, dropped C4 on it and bombed it. Those are militaristic tactics. That was them cutting their teeth. And now they want the ability to do it to black people where we are. Why? Because they understand that an agitated black population will become a mobilized black population. They are not afraid of armed black youth under the control of gangs. They are concerned and scared to death of armed black youth under the control and guidance of intelligent black thought. That's what they're concerned about. That's what they're scared of. They are scared that these young black males will be able to galvanize their energy towards something different. So they want to make sure they are prepared. Because the Watts riots showed them what could happen. The LA riots showed them what could happen. And they want to be prepared in case that ever happens again. And they understand there's a bunch of young black men out there with guns right now. And right now they're doing our work. They're threatening each other. But that could easily change in a weekend. And they could finally turn their guns on us. Then what? So understand something. They want the extra police powers for containment. We want these young men to be armed. We just don't want them to be better armed than we are. Put them in a pot. Put them in dire circumstances. Arm them to the teeth. Don't let them leave where they are. And they will only have themselves to shoot and kill. That's the way it works. That's what they're doing in Bosnia. That's what they're doing in Iraq. That's what they're doing in South America. Keep them contained, but keep them well armed. In Chicago, a 16-year-old black male can't get a job, but he can get an AK-47. Does that sound familiar? Now, Gwen, would you know where to get an AK-47?
No.
Okay, now you're a middle-class employed black female. You don't know where to get an AK-47, and you got money to get one. These young black men can't get a job, but they know where to get a high-powered assault rifle. Sound familiar? Like Afghanistan, they can't get food, but they know where to get a rocket launcher. Sound familiar, people? Baby, this is the game all over the world. Bogota, Colombia. They can't get a job, they can't get food, but they can get a kilo of cocaine and a 9mm. They know where they can get that. Baby, this is the extent of the game. This is how deep it goes. And it's everywhere. What happened to Chicago? 40% black male adult unemployment and 93% teenager unemployment. That's what happened. You can't get a job, but you can get weed. You can't get a job, but you can get guns. You can't get a job, but you can get liquor. That's what happened.
Do you think it could get... I'm sorry. Do you think it can get so... Because what you were saying is that they want to contain it and they want to control it and make sure that those boys don't wise up. These young men don't turn on them and we don't turn on them. So do you think that, like you were saying to the caller before, how it's always darkest before it's dawn, do you think that that there could be a clique, since it's getting so bad now, that they are trying to stop that clique? Like you're saying, they want to stop that light bulb from coming on because maybe it's getting so bad that there's maybe no way we can't see it. Or, I don't know. We still don't.
In the case of Chicago, there is still a possibility that they could turn this around, believe it or not, because there are still enough motivated black people in Chicago who still control a significant part of the economy that they could, rally and reverse the tide. It's possible, but the odds are not in their favor. They still have the possibility, though. It's still there. But if they don't do something right now, that's gonna go away for them, and the door will be closed like it just closed in Detroit. The police are not the problem. The economy is always the problem. And what I look for is when you've lost complete and total control of your economy, and once they control resources that your economy would need to recover, it's over. It just happened in Detroit, about to start happening in other places. It's going to happen in Chicago too if they don't turn this around. And I mean tonight.
And California, a few years ago, I know they cut back drastically on their welfare program. They said to save, because of the debt. And I've heard talk about, I've heard kind of the states that you can get easier, like North Carolina and certain states you can get a lot more, maybe easier, or, things like that. And I think they're starting to kind of tighten up in some places in Virginia. And you can see the whole gentrification thing going on in Northern Virginia and D.C. And so, I see it coming, and I guess they're hitting from all angles. I mean, whether it's the water or the, food stamps, they've cut back in some places, and so I guess they're trying to starve people out or push people out, like you said. And are we going to the country? Is that where we're kind of going? We're going to the outskirts, or just are we going to be in trailers now? Or I mean,
oh no, economic Darwinism. You will not be in trailers. You will just be on the streets. I say the streets, but I really mean the roads. Because, you see, we don't want a bunch of homeless black people in our urban centers anymore. That's where the money and the commerce is. Wouldn't it be better to have a bunch of homeless people out in the suburbs and the woods? Wouldn't it be better to have them there? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? They've had a change of heart. You know what? We're not going to get rid of you homeless Negroes. We're just going to move you all out of the city. You're going to the suburbs. We will not develop the suburbs. You'll be isolated out there. And when that runs down, it'll just be trees and sticks. And that's it. And all the developed places, that'll be us. Everything else, that'll be you. That's where it's going. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, that's exactly what it looks like. I, grew up outside of D.C., and I've seen it in the last 14 years. I've seen it go from D.C. south of 95. It keeps going south of 95. So it's definitely pushing out of the suburb areas even now, down to Fredericksburg. So, I mean, people are going to be really stuck out in the woods. And so I really wish people would catch on and focus on what's important. And, I'm listening, and I'm putting the word out there. So you guys take care and have a good night. And Black first, everyone.
Black first as always, Gwen. Thank you very much for joining us here. They're doing a lot of building in D.C., folks. It's just not going to involve black people, though. That's the rub. Caller from 217, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello?
Yes, you're on live.
All right. How you doing, Mr. Jason Black?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Joshua Kyle Jackson, and I am calling from Champaign, Urbana. And I always want to say I love your work, and I'm really glad that you can be able to make the 7 a.m. documentary, so that way we can be able to bring black economics back.
Okay.
That's one thing.
Glad to hear that. Thank you very much. Now, I didn't hear what state you were in.
Illinois.
Okay. And what's on your mind?
Well, there's two things on my mind. There's one, some people think that racism is racism in every race. I don't believe that. I believe that in order to be racist, you must be part of a dominant group and have the power to exercise oppression against other people. White people have that power. Black people don't have that power because in order to control something, you must be accountable and responsible. And as a black male, when I grow up, I want to try to be able to develop wealth so that way I can pass on my children and children's children to live off future generations. So actually, my question is, why do black people do not give not one goody two-shoes about building black economics?
Well, I think that we do, and that's certainly helpful. But the reason that black people are not concerned as a group about building group economics is because you have two types of black people in existence. Since we left the plantations, brother, there was a schism. But then again, that schism preceded the plantations. There were always a group of black people who wanted to be free, and then you had a group of black people who went back to picking the cotton. And that's what you have today. There are two kinds of black people. Those of us who realize we're in a system of white supremacy and we want to get free, and those who realize that we're in a system of white supremacy and they just go back to picking the cotton. That's what you got going on right now.
And also, and my mom, I'm sorry for interrupting. Mr. Jason Black, but my mother, we always talk about things like this, and my mom always says that the reason why, another reason why is that black people don't.
Okay, something odd going on there. I think your phone's messing up on you there, brother. Okay. Either that or it's messing up on me. I certainly hope that's not the case. Let me check here and see right quick. It might have given him a little bit of difficulty. Sometimes when we get very busy here, it can sometimes start playing with the phone lines on that. We're a heavy user, what can I say? Okay, we'll see if we can take a look at that. Okay, I'm going to see if we can try reconnecting them here. See, are you still on the line with us, brother?
Yes, I'm still on the line.
Okay. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, yeah. The one thing... Hello.
Okay, brother, if you're going to play on the phone, I need for you to call back some other time. Yeah, he's having some difficulties there. Let's get caller from 503. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Greetings, Black Brigade. This is Sequoia in Portland.
What's on your mind, sister?
There's a lot of things on my mind. There's always things on my mind. I haven't had a chance to talk to everyone in a while, so I wanted to say congratulations on the awesome Kickstarter for 7 a.m. I think that it definitely said something about grassroots organizing, and that if people really want to see change, and they do the work, and they put their money where their mouth is, or as you said, Jason Black, put skin in the game. And so congratulations on that. Let's see, where do I want to start? Detroit, I think that it really sucks what's happening in Detroit right now. But at the same time, it's something that has been planned, for decades. And unfortunately, like most of us in this nation, we haven't prepared ourselves for it like we should have. So I'll say a little bit on that.
Well, when none of us plan to fail, we only fail to plan. And now they're reaping the bitter harvest of it. But the time for warnings is over. No more warnings. If you have not been acting, you're going to get rolled over, plain and simple. Now, you had sent me a message earlier, and I wanted you to tell everybody about your experience at the school board meeting a few days ago.
Yeah. So as part of my volunteering for a community radio station, I went and recorded a school board meeting for Portland Public Schools Tuesday. Very interesting stuff. I've never been to a public hearing from the public schools. I don't have children, so I'm not always aware, or I'm not always aware about what's going on with public schools. You know, I always hear about the school closing and things like that, but I'm not, you know, abreast on, you know, a lot of the laws and things like that in the meetings. But so I went this time, and very interesting stuff. I happened to run into the reporter for the Oregonian, Nicole Duncan. I happened to see her during the meeting, and I looked over.
Now,
to see,
for those of you who don't remember,
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Duncan is the reporter for the newspaper The Oregonian who went on a jihad against Umar Johnson for wanting to speak to black youth at Oregon schools. Her and some of the other news outlets actually went asking teenagers about their views on homosexuality. High school students, young high school students. So she was one of the people who was part of that little assault on Umar Johnson when he was going to Portland up there. So that is the same Nicole Duncan that we're talking about. Go ahead and proceed, sister.
Correct. So, so I seen her over there, and I'm like, oh, okay, Nicole Duncan. All right, there she is, right over there. Let me go ahead and pay her a visit as soon as this is over. I had to be on a call at 9 o'clock, and you know, it was going overtime. Yes, the Asian bed witch, as Zulu Zaster said in your chat. You know, I seen her over there, and I'm like, okay, you know, I got to be on this meeting. I got to be on this call at 9 o'clock, but, you know, I want to talk to her. So so it went overtime, 15 minutes past 9 o'clock. I was going to wait. And then when the meeting was finally over, and she was done talking, making her rounds and doing what she does, you know, she was getting ready to leave, and I pulled her aside. I said, hi, Nicole. I'm Sequoia. I'm one of the, you know, people who support Umar Johnson. And she looked like she was getting ready to shit her pants. Excuse my language. And I said to her, I said, you know, you wrote an interesting article about Mr. Johnson. Is there any particular reason why you needed to attack him for, you know, his views on attack him on his views on homosexuality when that's not what he came to Portland for? And she was like, well, I was just doing what I felt the community needed to hear. She said, you know, he has views on a section of people who are, you know, basically saying that, you know, that we're being discriminated against. And she felt like the whole of Portland needed to hear about that, and she reported the story. And I was like, well, I understand you're doing your due diligence, you know, as I would as being a community radio host. So I totally get that. I told her, but I feel like you and the media unfairly attacked this man for no real reason other than, you know, what he you know, was reporting, you know, in terms of the laws from 1970 or something like that. Something like that, I said to that extent. And she's like, well, you know, I understand that. I understand, but still, you know, it still needed to be reported about his views on that. I was like, but you do understand, and the media did understand that that's not what he came to Portland for. She's like, yeah, I understand that's not what he came for. I was like, okay, well, I think that, you know, you guys unfairly attacked him, and that I also wanted to let you know that that your report didn't stop us for allowing us to get him to talk to the Black community here, and I was one of the people who organized that. And she said, "Oh, well, yeah, I did hear that, he was going to speak at some bookstore." I said, "No, it wasn't a bookstore, but we did get him to a safe space where he was able to talk to people of all ages, including Black children." And she just sit there and looked at me. And
okay, and
like,
now you had mentioned before though that you would also talk to her in particular about us.
I did. I said, so I understand that you heard of a broadcast about you, or not a broadcast. I didn't say broadcast. I said a feature story about you. And she said, "Yeah, from this guy." I said, Black Authority. She was like, "Yeah, and I keep getting calls from people calling me a racist, and just saying all these really rude things that that aren't true." She's like, "I was called a racist," and I'm like, "I'm far from a racist." I was like, well. She's like, oh, another thing that she had brought up is that she said that people were basing her being a racist because of the Twitter messages that you posted along with that YouTube feature.
Okay,
story.
Now what you're referring to is that people are calling Nicole Dunca, and they're calling her up and saying that she's a racist, and they're basing that on the screen captures that I made of the tweets between her and her friends on Twitter.
Right, correct. And so she said that that she felt like she was being judged based off of those Twitters unfairly. I was like, really? I was like, well, how connected are you to the Black community to begin with? I asked her, for you to make an assumption that Dr. Umar didn't need to speak to us here in Portland. And she's like, well, no, I didn't think that. That wasn't my intention, was to, stop him from being a part of the Black community. We just needed to report that, it was unfair for him to label homosexuality as a disorder. I said, no, he didn't label it a disorder. He said he was basing it off of
Right, but here's the real thing, though. The real thing, though, is that she said that people were saying that she was a racist based off the video and the screen captures that I made. And the real question here is, okay, you put together a hit piece based on Umar Johnson and some YouTube videos that you took snippets from. And yet you're complaining when somebody else does a real thorough job. All I did was say, you know what? I'm going to actually get into this, and I'm actually going to investigate this. And that was what I did. And so when I did the same thing that she did, only I didn't take anything out of context, I showed exactly what she said, and all of a sudden she's crying foul over it. That's the real issue of it there. I wish you'd asked her about that, because the real issue is, wait a minute, now you're crying foul because somebody looked at your Twitter account. But wasn't that what you did for 3 days about Umar Johnson, was talk about a YouTube video? You did that for 3 days. I didn't make but one video explaining to people what you were doing, and yet you're crying foul when you did it for 3 days? So what else did she say about the video that we made?
She was like, that Black Authority guy, do you know him? I was like, yeah, I know him. I've talked on his broadcast before. And she said, oh, well, he's a very interesting guy. I was like, I guess you can say that. He's very thorough, that's for sure. That's what I told her, and she laughed. But she was like, well, I appreciate you coming to me and in a respectful manner, and and getting to hear my side of the story, because everybody else that's called me or sent me emails have been just really relentless and just without even really knowing me and just being really rude. And I was like, oh, well, I I think that's how a lot of us felt when you made that report about, Dr. Umar Johnson. But, I appreciate you, at least, hearing me out. And,
Well, the thing is, isn't that amazing, people? Now, for those of you who doubt the reach and the efficacy that we have, for those of you who doubt whether or not you can be heard, for those of you who doubt that whether or not a determined group of black people who ain't talking and fixating on twerking and world star hip hop and relationship drama and all the garbage out there, a dedicated group full of black people who are not into cooning and buffooning, if you all wondered whether or not we could go head to head, stand toe to toe, go blow for blow with the mainstream corporate media and win. If you doubted that that could occur, this is your answer now. Johnny Ace just made a video last week about Sharing Ball, another person with a hit piece against Umar Johnson, a so-called black feminist who has been completely quiet about Miss Pinnock, the great-grandmother who got the hell beat out of her on video in California Freeway. Quiet about that, silent about that, but she can jump up and say that we don't need to make a school for boys, and Umar Johnson shouldn't be a part of that. Johnny Ace did a piece on her, and she got the message. Brothers and sisters, stop doubting your power. Stop doubting your ability. Stop doubting what you can do. We can change this thing. Our punches are getting through, and they are making a difference. And understand something, Nicole, if you're out there listening. I didn't even go in on you as deep as I could have. That was what I did with just 2 days. Sister, understand that was nothing compared to what I could have done. Because I didn't even do a full background check on you. All I did was connect the dots to a few events. I didn't even go all the way in on you. I never do in my video shankings, by the way. I just stick you enough times that you understand this could be really serious if I really wanted it to be. So you got a choice to make. And for anybody else out there, so long as Umar Johnson walks on the side of intelligent black Africans, or any other black person, by the way, that we see you all unjustly coming out against, just understand something. We're out there. We're watching. We're listening. Let us stay doing what we're doing. You let us keep talking about socioeconomics. Let us keep talking about the water in Detroit. You let us keep doing that. Believe me, you want us talking about that. You don't want us to turn around and start talking about you. That's what you don't want. Let us keep talking about these other things. You don't want us to start talking about you. Because when we do, we're going to make sure your ears keep ringing. And for anybody else out there who even thinks about doing what Nicole Dunca did, understand something. We've got the ability to go do the same thing. None of you are clean. None of you are invulnerable. And none of you are safe. Not from the truth, you're not. Shay, I'll let you have the last word.
Well, before I get off the phone, I wanted to ask if you had seen the link that I sent you via inbox about this whole thing of My Brother's Keeper and
yes.
Some black feminists wanting to send a hashtag out via Twitter about why we can't wait, meaning MBK or My Brother's Keeper should include black women, black girls and females.
Yeah,
what
I mean,
this is about that?
Understand something. White supremacy does not come after you themselves. White supremacy sends a black person to go after you. And if they can keep mess stirred up and keep people talking and try to make it seem like it's coming from grassroots, that's the way that this thing is done. Just try to make it seem like, oh, this is legitimate. Please, these are just white supremacists and their shills on the internet trying to do what they're doing. But at this point, the horses are out the gate. Black intelligence is on the march. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, sister. Please do check in with us again. Let's see if we can get caller from 347. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello?
Yes, you're on live.
Hi, my name is Craig from the Bronx, New York. How's it going? Jason Black, Professor Truth.
And what's on your mind, brother?
You know what's very interesting to me is that with the immigration situation, Obama is willing to donate, or not necessarily donate, but give so much money to a particular situation. But even knowing the Detroit water situation, I would like to see if he's actually willing to give money towards that situation as well.
That's an excellent question, because you see, he considers people who choose to fight to come to the United States to be a humanitarian crisis if they don't have everything that they need, but in order to get to the United States. But people who are already here, just like Chicago, he's looking around saying, you call that a problem? What, me worry? He is against black people. He is not ambivalent, and he is not neutral on black people. He is here to make sure that we are in worse shape when he leaves office than when he came. He is bowing to white supremacy because he is a tool of white supremacy. But what I'm telling you all is that this is what we want regardless. We want as much pressure on black society as humanly possible. Why? Because we have a bunch of people inside the society who are sabotaging us from the inside. It's time for them to go. And it's time for them to go now. So he's doing the wrong thing. He's doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. But at this point, it's not going to make much of a difference.
I agree. I just hope that something this blatant in black people's faces will actually help open up their eyes even more.
No, because the people who are getting their water shut off, they're the ones who voted for him twice. And they would vote for him a third time. Even though he's done nothing and produced nothing for them and is actually hurting them at this point, they would still vote for him. They are getting what they deserve. You and I didn't support him. At least we don't today. So understand something. He's not hurting us. The people who were supporting him, they are now eating ashes. And they need to be. Understand something, brother. I don't want to change their minds. Hell, it wouldn't happen even if I wanted to. I don't want to change their minds. I just want them moved out of the way now. And this is moving them out the way. Brother, I don't care if they like us, hate us, or are indifferent. You are either with us or against us. That's all. You're either with us or against us, and they are against us. So at this point, brother, I don't want them as friends or converts. I want them moved. That's all. I want them out of the way. That's it.
I agree with you 110%.
I don't care if they wake up tomorrow and say, TBA, you were always right. Damn you. Now you can fry. I'll let you have the last word.
60 seconds.
I really appreciate your broadcast. It actually helped me change my mind on a lot of points of views about black empowerment, in the sense that I didn't know the like-minded individuals who thought like me. And really appreciate you having your broadcast to actually have other individuals call in and express themselves and share thoughts. Black first.
Black first, brother. You have found the home of intelligent black thought. Thank you very much for joining us here. And speaking of which, for those of you who want to take this show on the road, you definitely want to go by our sister site, dashikiwoman.com. That's dashikiwoman.com. You can pick up your 7 a.m. shirts, caps, and other things. We have the new Black First shirts they're in. We're also going to be working on a new line specifically for some of the other for females who've asked for it there. We're also going to see about getting some different type of female shirts in, so you'll definitely want to check into that here next week as well. But that's dashikiwoman.com. You definitely want to be a part of that. They've got all kinds of African gifts, clothing, supplies, and more. But especially the Black Channel materials are also shipped out of there. So dashikiwoman.com. You definitely want to be there. I guarantee you're going to find something you like. Caller from 704. You're on live with the Black Channel.
What's going on, Jason? This is Aubrey from Kanye, Georgia.
What's on your mind, brother?
Nothing much really. I really wanted to piggyback off of your last broadcast when you were talking with Marty, because he had said some really good points about the whole computer IT program and certifications. And I just wanted to ask you a quick question. As far as, because I'm getting ready to go into the service, I'm getting ready to go into the U.S. Air Force or whatnot, and I wanted to know, would it be better to actually try to get my certifications, let's say A plus, start off with A plus? Would it be better to try and get my A plus and Net plus and Security plus while I'm in the service, or what? Like, I'm kind of confused. Like, I don't really know.
Okay, did you say that you're joining the Air Force?
Yeah, I'm technically in it, but I haven't. But I'm not in it. I'm waiting for my job right now.
Okay, so you signed up for the Air Force and you haven't gone to basic training yet.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, I'm not going to ask what caused this draconian turn of events, but at this point right now, it won't really make a big difference. They'll pay for all of it for you anyway. Right now, you need to be concerned about where you're going to be getting shot at. You're rattling too much stuff in the receiver, brother.
What was that?
Get still over there. Your Rubik's Cube is being heard through the receiver.
Rubik's Cube. All right, does this sound better now?
Okay. At this point here, it won't make too big of a difference, but you'll have plenty of time for that as far as paying for it. I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to request specific training in those things, but I do know they do offer that in the military. They do offer computer sciences.
Okay, because I'm more, I want to pursue computer hardware engineering. I don't really know which specifics yet, but as of right now, that's just what I want to go into as far as like school wise. But I was kind of been doing some research as far as like the whole certifications versus the degree, and so it's a lot of websites saying that it's kind of better to get certifications instead of getting the degree, because one is cheaper, and then on top of that, the degree is like for kind of like management and everything.
Well, cheaper, quicker. All you want's the knowledge. That's all you want. Long as you got the knowledge, you'll be okay. So yeah, you want your certifications. A degree is increasingly becoming obsolete in computer science areas because the technology is constantly changing, and the things that they make curriculums for are often out of date. So a language like C+ or Java or something like that, a language will be around for a while, but certain skill sets have to evolve. And as protocols go into extinction or go obsolete, they don't need to train you on those things anymore. They got to train you for something different. Cisco is the man today, but that could change in 5 years. So the Cisco certification there's no use in making a college course for it, because the Cisco certification that works today may be obsolete in 3 or 5 years. So that's why. So okay, definitely you want to look into certifications. And if the Air Force offers any of those, you want to take them.
Okay. All right. Well, that's really all I really wanted to call. I wanted to get your insight on about the certifications and whatnot. I've kind of been doing some research on it, but I'm going to look into it some more and see what else I can come up with.
Well, thank you very much for giving us a call, and try not to get yourself killed over there.
I'll try not to. But thanks, man.
Black first, brother. Professor Black Truth, we'll let you have the last word, brother.
Folks, tonight has been eye-opening for a number of reasons. Dang good broadcast. Great to have fellowship with the brethren in sorority. Take this with you as we head into the new day. Black First has huge reach, and this is good. But as we move forward, there's going to be equally huge opposition. We will face them all down. Tomorrow, I want everyone to be here. Tell a friend, because while we're on the subject of Nicole Dunca and opposition from the Asian quadrant of the society, we're going to put a spotlight on Dr. Amy Chua, the woman who popularized the phrase tiger mothers. And there's a lot of you who use the words, and you know about her latest book, the articles from Forbes. Tomorrow night, we're going to be doing an examination of this woman so you can understand that as white supremacy begins to get its hooks into Asia, a lot of Asian people are already on board, and why this is a big problem for us, and we better start seeing everyone around us for what they are. You don't have any friends anywhere, so be sure to tune in tomorrow.
Brothers and sisters, understand something, that we are not the place that just talks about these things. You see, some black folk think that going after other black people, well, that's just the thing to do. And they want to make a career out of that. That's weakness. You will never see the Black Channel going in front of a city council telling them that we should be doing things to black people. If I go in front of a city council, I will be telling them that about their white supremacy, like we did with Nicole Dunca. That's what they're worried about. If you see the Black Channel speaking, we are going to be taking them to task over their sins. And even with Johnny Ace with Sharing Ball, he made sure that you all did not take your eye off of who the real adversary is. The real adversary are Sharing Ball's backers in white society. That is the real enemy. And keeping focused on that is what's critical. So, Nicole, I know you're out there listening. Just like I know that the guy who made Fear of a Black Republican, you're out there listening. You're all wondering to yourselves, how organized are these people? How ready are they? How capable are they? When they're going to come out and start yelling crack of this and crack of that? What are they really talking about? I know you're worried. I know you're scared. And you should be. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio. Before we leave, in case you all didn't know, the reason that they are afraid is because they came to this place and they didn't hear any talk about magic beans and flying carpets. They didn't hear us talking about our chakras and energy fields. They heard us talking about power, wealth, and influence, and how we're gonna use it on them. Yeah, you got a damn lot to be worried about. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority, with Professor Black Truth. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember that black is the future, and the future is uncompromising. And if you don't believe me, drop Nicole Dunca an email. She'll let you know.